boy, number 12. How to teach. Now that you've obtained outside support, you're thinking that you can put aside human affairs and do Buddhist things all the time with patch-robed monks. Over a long time, as you become especially excellent, you can expect furthermore to conduct detailed examinations with them in your room. You must not tolerate human feelings, or fall into the weeds with them. Instruct them directly with your own provisions, and teach them to awaken and attain for themselves. Only then will it be the way venerable adepts help others. If you can see them lingering in doubt, without comprehending, and so you add footnotes for them, not only do you blind their eyes, but you also lose the proper method of your family. Be thoroughgoing. Now that you have taken up this affair, you must steadfastly make yourself thoroughgoing, and sit upright in a room with what you have truly experienced and awakened to in the course of your life. It is like crossing a bridge made of a single plank carrying a 200-pound burden. If your hands and feet slip, you can't even preserve your own life, much less save others. An ancient worthy said, "This affair is like an old man of 80 taking the stage. How could it be child's play?" Another ancient worthy said, "If I propagated the teaching of the school the same way all the time, the weeds in front of the Dharma hall would be 10 feet deep. Better to have someone check the courtyard." When monks come seeking the path, Mu Chao used to say, an obvious case, I forgive you 30 blows. Pu Ye of Fin Yang told questioners, no false thinking. Whenever Lu Tzu saw a monk enter the gate, he would immediately turn around and sit facing the wall. When helping others, you must not dim this style. Only then do you not lose the meaning of this school, which has come down from antiquity. Models of teaching. When patch-robed ones come into the teacher's room, he must cut to the crux. He shouldn't slog through mud and water. For example, Chan Master Keung of Seifeng was with Yun Chao and Yun Ming. The moment that they got together, the old fellows knew that Keung wasn't fooling himself, that he was a man of the Buddha Dharma. Therefore, they taught him with one flavor, using their own proper hammer and tongs. Later, in another place, Keung's mastery was unfurled. When he understood the great Dharma, he at once acquired the use of the hammer and tongs that he had received, and finally knew. I don't consider the Buddha Dharma to be a human sentiment. Last year I sent a booklet of remarks which, though hurried, didn't lose the message of the Lin Chi school. And now I'm sending it to their quarters for the patch-robed ones to read. I took up brush to write especially to propagate the teaching, to serve legitimate patch-robed ones as well as for expounding the Dharma in the future. If, in the beginning, I had dragged through the mud and water for them, preaching Old Lady Chan, later, after their eyes opened, they'd sure be to scold me, without a doubt. Therefore, an ancient said, I don't esteem my late teacher's virtues in the path. I just honor the way he didn't explain it. All for me. If he had explained it all for me, how could there be today? This is the same principle. Let's follow this footnote, shall we? Today, the day of enlightenment. Lin Chi said, today, a man of power finally knows that fundamentally there is nothing. Basically, there are no concerns. It's because you can't fully believe this that you go from minute to minute frantically seeking, abandoning the head to look for a head, unable to stop yourself. According to the understanding of the Chan school, it's not this way. It's simply right now, the present. There is no other time. All that I say is matching medicines to the diseases of a certain era. There's no real doctrine whatsoever. Jiao Zhou said, if you tell me to receive people according to their potentials, and the 12-part teaching of the 3 vehicles has already received them. Here at my place, I just use my own thing to receive people. If I can't, it's that the student's root nature is slow and dull. It's none of my affair. Think about it. Those who study words often say that Kuai Tsung cutting the snake and Nan Chuan's killing the cat were taking charge of the situation with subtle action. They call it the great function being manifest without keeping to rules. Thus, they don't realize it's not this kind of principle at all. If you have the transcendent eye, then you know what it means as soon as it's mentioned. If you don't understand the great Dharma and just play games, when will there be an end to it? These are 2 well-known stories being referred to. A lecturer monk had come to see Kuai Tsung, who happened to be chopping weeds. As Kuai Tsung was chopping with his hoe, a snake suddenly appeared. Kuai Tsung immediately killed it with a chop of his hoe. The lecturer said, I have long heard that Kuai Tsung, but now that I come here, he's actually a crude acting monk. Kuai Tsung said, is it you or I who's crude? The lecturer said, but is crude and coarse. Kuai Tsung held the hoe upright. What is subtle and fine? Kuai Tsung made a motion of chopping. The lecturer said, if so, then you act according to it. Kuai Tsung said, leaving aside acting according to it for a moment, where did you see me cutting the snake? The lecturer was speechless. Okay. Nan Chuan appeared as the monks of the eastern and western halls were fighting over a cat. He told them, if you can speak, then you'll save the cat. If you can't say anything, I'll kill it. There was no reply from the crowd, so Nan Chuan killed the cat. When Zhou Zhao returned, Nan Chuan told him what he'd said before. Jiao Zhou immediately took off his shoes, put them on top of his head, and left. Nan Chuan said, if you'd have been here before, you would have saved the cat. I still don't understand that one quite well, but they talk of it often, so eventually I suppose somebody will understand it. Where is home? In the old days, Layman Pang said, I have a boy who hasn't married. I have a girl who hasn't been married. The whole family gathers around, and together we talk of birthlessness. Later on, there was a layman called the non-dying layman, surnamed Yang. He had studied with the former generation of Chan masters, and had real empowerment in our school. To this verse of Layman Pang's, he once said, when a boy grows up, he should marry. When a girl matures, she should be married off. What leisure time do they seek to go on talking of birthlessness? These 2 laymen didn't seek official approval for their stage of universal everlasting oneness. Each set his own boundaries, saying, I know it exists. And where there are no Buddhas, always proclaim themselves the honored one. At that time, there was another uncommon one. He was called the Chan Master of Ocean Seal Faith, and lived in the time of Su Zhao's Ting Hua Temple. On seeing this verse of the non-dying layman, he too had a verse which said, I have no boy to get married. I have no girl to marry off. When tired I sleep. Why be concerned with talk of birthlessness? You see, these 3 fellows saying these 3 verses with your eyes open, with them closed, and with them neither open nor closed. I can see them, looking on them impartially. They're not non-existent. Ultimately, do you see them with your eyes open, with your eyes closed, or with them neither open nor closed? If you see them with your eyes open, then you fall into Layman Pang's trap. If you see them with your eyes closed, you fall into Non-Doing Yang's trap. If you see them with neither open or closed eyes, then you fall into the Ocean Seal Chan Master's trap. Seeing me talk like this, you're sure to say, not any of those ways. Well, if not any of those ways, you still fall into my trap. To escape the traps of the three elders is easy. To get out of my trap is hard. Ultimately, how will you get out? When you get back to Yingpin, after you've married off your daughter, I'll explain it all for you at length. Since I remembered another verse by an ancient worthy, I'll add it at the end. I hope you won't get hung up on it. Then, too, it's out of my excessive kindness that I add this. The verse says, "Studying the path is like drilling for fire. When you get smoke, you can't stop yet. Only when sparks appear is the return home accomplished." I have one more question. Where is the home you return to, Kuei-Chan? If you can penetrate this question, boys marrying and girls marrying are both within it. If you don't know the home, then your karmic consciousness is dim and confused, and if you're always running around on the outside, it wouldn't surprise me. Attainment from casual circumstances. In the old days, Master Lin Yun suddenly awakened to the path on seeing peach blossoms. He had a verse which said, "For 30 years I sought a master swordsman. How many times the leaves fell and the shoots sprouted. Ever since I once saw peach blossoms, up to right now, no more doubts." Master Kuei Shan investigated his enlightenment and gave himself his seal. And as he was approving him, he said, Master Kuei Shan investigated Lin Yun's enlightenment and gave him his seal. As he was approving him, he said, "When you awaken to the path from casual circumstances, there's never any retrogression." Then again, when Master Sa Fing wrote his own epitaph, he said, "If you attain from casual circumstances, it begins and ends, forms and disintegrates. If it is not from casual circumstances that you attain, it endures through the ages, everlasting and solid." Tell me, are the viewpoints of these two venerable adepts the same or different? If you say they're the same, one man considers attainment from causal conditions right, and one man considers it wrong. If you say they're different, it's possible that these two great elders were setting up divergent sects to confuse people with doubts. If you don't understand, I'll explain it for you directly. Two exist because of one. Don't even keep the one. When one man isn't born, the myriad phenomenon are without fault. The difference between the two previous verses is resolved in the above verse. Bah! Yeah. Dream and reality. I take it you dreamed of burning incense and entering my room. How relaxed and easy. Don't interpret this as a dream. You must realize it was a real room entering. Haven't you read how Shariputra asked Subhuti to expound the 6 transcendent paramitas in a dream, to expound the 6 transcendents while awake? Are these the same or different? Subhuti said, "The meaning of this is profound. I can't explain it. The great being Maitreya is here at this assembly. Go to him and ask." Pah! Not a little overindulgent. Hasatsu Tao said, at that time, if he hadn't let him go, but had followed up, giving him a thrust. Who says Maitreya? Who is Maitreya? Then we would have seen the ice melted and the tiles shattered. Bah! Hasa Tao was quite overindulgent. If someone asked, when the retired military governor Singh dreamed he entered our room, or entered your room, was this the same or different from entering when awake? I immediately say to him, who is the room enterer, and what is entering the room? Who is dreaming? Who is it that speaks of the dream? Who is it that doesn't interpret it as a dream? Who is the real dream, or the real room enterer? Ugh. This too is rather overindulgent. Real merit. Emperor Wu of Light asked Bodhidharma, I have built temples and had monks ordained without number. What merit is there in this? Bodhidharma said, there is no merit. The emperor said, why no merit? Bodhidharma said, these are just the lesser fruits of men and gods, causes of defilement like shadows following shapes. Though they're there, they're not real. The emperor said, what is true merit? Bodhidharma answered, the subtle perfection of pure wisdom, its essence naturally empty and still. Such merit is not to be sought with worldly means. Only then did the emperor ask, what is the highest meaning of the holy truths? Bodhidharma answered, empty, without holiness. The emperor said, who is facing me? Bodhidharma replied, I don't know. The emperor did not understand, so Bodhidharma crossed the river into a way. If you want to see real merit right now, don't look for it anywhere else. Just comprehend it in, I don't know. If you can penetrate these 3 words, the task of your whole life's study will be completed. Where to escape? Our great Buddhist sages would empty out all characteristics and achieve knowledge of the myriad things. But even they could not instantly obliterate what was fixed by their actions. So how could commonplace ordinary people? Since you are one of them, layman, I think you too should enter this state of concentration that I'm about to indicate. In times past, there was a monk who asked an old adept, the world is so hot, I don't know where to escape. The old adept said, escape into a boiling cauldron, into the coals of a furnace. The monk said, in a cauldron of boiling water, or the coals of a furnace, how does one escape? The adept said, the multitude of sufferings cannot reach there. I hope that in the conduct of your daily activities you will meditate just like this. The advice of old adepts shouldn't be neglected. It is my own prescription for getting results. I wouldn't consent to pass it on to you freely unless this path accorded with you, and you were acquainted with this mind. It just takes a moment, when the accord with the path is crude, being in the boiling water, that you don't need to use any other boiling water. If he uses some other boiling water, this makes the person go mad. You must realize this. One moment when the accord is crude, don't look elsewhere, just in your daily activities and conduct as a layman. Where bright, it's as bright as the sun, and where dark, it's as dark as lacquer. If, wherever you pick it up, you reflect on it, uniformly, with the light of the fundamental ground, there's no going wrong. You can kill people, and you can bring people back to life, figuratively speaking. Therefore, the Buddhas and ancestral teachers have always gone into the boiling cauldron, into the coals of a furnace, using this medicine to cure birth and death, this great disease that afflicts sentient beings with suffering. They are called the great kings of physicians. I don't know whether you believe fully or not, layman. If you say You possess a secret method not handed down from father to son, a subtle technique that does not go into the boiling cauldron, into the coals of a furnace to escape, then I hope you'll bestow it on me. All right.